Your nervous system is lying to you right now. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally, biologically, chemically. It is sending your brain false threat signals, and your brain, because it trusts the body completely, is believing every word. That tightness in your chest before a big meeting? That's not danger. That shallow, rapid breathing when your phone lights up with a notification that stresses you out? That's not survival. That racing heart, those sweating palms, that full-body tension that arrives uninvited and refuses to leave? None of it is real in the way your nervous system insists it is. But here's the part that changes everything. There is a nerve in your body, one specific nerve, that acts as a direct line between your brain and your body's calm state, and it responds to breath. 3 specific breaths in under 90 seconds. This is not a wellness trend. This is not mindfulness marketing. This is one of the most well-documented mechanisms in autonomic neuroscience, and somehow, the people who need it most, the ones lying awake at 2 a.m., the ones sweating through presentations, the ones who feel like their own nervous system is the enemy, most of them have never heard of it. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what the vagus nerve is, why it's basically your biological emergency brake, and precisely how to activate it using nothing but the air in your lungs. Not vaguely, not just breathe advice, step by step, physiologically grounded, immediately usable. Because anxiety doesn't always wait for you to find a quiet room and a meditation cushion. Sometimes it hits in the car, in the hallway, in the 10 seconds before something important. And you deserve a tool that works in that moment, not someday, not after 6 weeks of practice. Right now. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside you when anxiety strikes. Because understand, and telling yourself to just relax during that state is roughly as effective as whispering instructions to a car engine that's already redlining. The engine doesn't hear you. It's running its program. What you need is access to the system that actually controls that program, and that's where the vagus nerve comes in. The word vagus comes from the Latin word for wandering, and when you learn where this nerve travels, you understand why. The vagus nerve originates in the brainstem, specifically in an area called the medulla oblongata, right at the base of your skull, and then it wanders downward through your neck, branching into your heart, your lungs, your diaphragm, your stomach, your intestines, your liver. It is the longest cranial nerve in the human body, and it connects your brain to virtually every major organ involved in your stress response. Think of it like this. Imagine your nervous system as a building with 2 main electrical circuits. One circuit, the sympathetic nervous system, is the alarm system. When it activates, the lights flash, the sirens go off, everything goes into emergency mode. The other circuit, the parasympathetic nervous system, is the reset switch. When it activates, the alarm's quiet, the emergency lights dim, the system returns to baseline. The vagus nerve is the main cable running through that reset circuit. It carries 80% of the communication between your brain and your parasympathetic nervous system. When your vagus nerve is active and healthy, it keeps your heart rate regulated, your breathing deep, your digestion running smoothly, and your stress response proportional to actual threats. When it's underactive, and in chronically stressed people, it often is, your body stays in a low-grade fight-or-flight state almost constantly. Every small stressor lands harder, recovery takes longer, anxiety becomes the default, not the exception. Scientists measure vagal health using a metric called heart rate variability, HRV. This is the variation in time between heartbeats. Counterintuitively, more variation is better. High HRV means your nervous system is flexible, responsive, and regulated. It can ramp up when needed and stand down when the threat is gone. Low HRV is associated with chronic stress, anxiety disorders, cardiovascular risk, and poor emotional resilience. Here's where it gets genuinely remarkable. Research published in journals including Frontiers in Human Neuroscience and the Journal of Clinical Psychology has shown that specific breathing patterns directly stimulate vagal activity, increase HRV, and measurably shift the nervous system from sympathetic dominance, that alarm system state, to parasympathetic activation, the reset state, within seconds. The mechanism is elegant. Embedded in your lungs and diaphragm are stretch receptors that send signals directly up the vagus nerve to your brainstem. When you inhale slowly and deeply, those receptors fire gently. But when you exhale, especially a long, controlled exhale, they fire in a pattern that the brainstem interprets as a parasympathetic signal. Your brainstem receives that input, and if the signal is strong enough and consistent enough, it sends instructions back down the vagus nerve to the heart. Slow down. To the lungs, expand. To the entire system, threat level dropping, stand down. This is not you thinking yourself calm. This is you using breath as a direct neurological input to override the alarm system from the outside in. The physiological sigh is one specific version of this mechanism that neuroscientists at Stanford, including Dr. Andrew Huberman, have highlighted as particularly powerful. It involves a double inhale through the nose, a full inhale followed immediately by a short, sharp second inhale to fully inflate the alveoli in the lungs, followed by a long, slow exhale through the mouth. That double inhale maximally expands the lung tissue. The long exhale then creates an extended parasympathetic signal. In a single breath, you can measurably reduce heart rate and shift your autonomic state. But the 3-breath protocol takes this further because 3 repetitions allow the vagal signal to compound. The first breath interrupts the physiological momentum of the anxiety response. The second begins actively shifting HRV. The third consolidates the new state. Research suggests that by the end of 3 deliberate vagal breaths, most people experience a measurable drop in subjective anxiety and an objectively measurable change in heart rate variability. 90 seconds or less. No app required. No medication. No quiet room. Just the mechanics of your own respiratory system used intentionally. So let's do it. Right now if you want. You can pause this and try it or just read through first and then come back. The 3-breath vagal protocol works like this. First, sit or stand with your spine reasonably upright, not rigid, just not collapsed. Slouching restricts the diaphragm, which reduces the depth of the breath and weakens the stretch receptor signal. You don't need perfect posture, you just need enough space for your lungs to fully expand. Breath 1. Inhale through your nose. Slow, steady, filling your lungs completely. When you think they're full, take one short, sharp, additional sniff through the nose. Just a quick top off. You'll feel your chest and ribcage expand a final increment. Now exhale through your mouth, slowly, twice as long as the inhale. If the inhale took 4 seconds, the exhale takes 8. Don't force it out. Let it fall. Feel your shoulders drop. Feel your jaw unclench. The exhale should feel like releasing, not pushing. Breath 2. Same structure. Double inhale through the nose, full breath, then a top-off sniff, then a long, slow exhale through the mouth, as if you're fogging up a cool mirror. This time, actively soften your belly on the exhale. Let your abdomen release outward as your diaphragm rises. This deepens the parasympathetic signal. By the end of the second breath, many people notice a slight shift, a warmth in the chest, a loosening of tension in the throat or shoulders, a very subtle drop in urgency. Breath 3. You know the pattern now. Deep double inhale, nose, slow exhale, mouth. This time, close your eyes if you're in a safe place to do so. On the exhale, direct your awareness to your heartbeat. You may notice it feels slightly slower, slightly softer than it did 60 seconds ago. That sensation is not imagination. That is your autonomic nervous system receiving the signal and responding. 3 breaths, 90 seconds. The alarm system is still there. It doesn't disappear. But you've handed the brainstem evidence that the threat has passed, and the brainstem believes the body. A few notes on common mistakes. First, speed. People who are anxious tend to rush their breathing, even when they're trying to slow it. The exhale needs to be genuinely twice the length of the inhale. If you're blowing all the air out in 2 seconds, the vagal signal is too brief to matter. Slow it down more than feels natural. Second, tension. Some people grip their abdomen trying to force a deep breath. Paradoxically, this restricts the diaphragm. The deep breath comes from releasing, not from trying. Third, expectations. Some people feel dramatic relief after 1 round. Others feel a subtle shift, a slight softening of the edge. Both are real. The shift in HRV is happening whether you consciously feel it or not. Consistency builds vagal tone over time, meaning the more you practice this, the more naturally resilient your nervous system becomes between anxious moments, not just during them. If you want to build this into a daily practice, 2 minutes in the morning, 6 rounds of the double inhale-exhale pattern has been shown to meaningfully improve baseline HRV within 2 to 4 weeks. You're not just managing individual anxiety episodes, you're strengthening the biological infrastructure that determines how hard anxiety hits in the first place. Here's what I want to leave you with. You have been walking around with this mechanism your entire life. It was neven, or broken. It was never missing. It was just waiting for you to learn its language. The vagus nerve doesn't require convincing. It doesn't require months of practice before it kicks in. It responds to breath the way a lock responds to the right key. Immediately, mechanically, reliably. The science on this is not fringe. It's not new age. It's documented in peer-reviewed research across neuroscience, cardiology, and clinical psychology. It's the reason that controlled breathing appears in everything from military stress protocols to trauma therapy to pre-surgical calming procedures. You now know the mechanism. You know the nerve, its pathway, its role in your autonomic system, and the precise breathing pattern that activates it. That knowledge changes what anxiety feels like, because now, instead of being something that happens to you, it becomes something you can respond to with intention. The next time that tightness arrives, in a meeting, in a car, in a moment that doesn't allow you to fall apart, you have 90 seconds and 3 breaths. That's your toolkit. That's real. That's yours. Your nervous system is still going to lie to you sometimes. That's what nervous systems do. But now you know how to talk back. If this landed for you, leave a comment with the word Vegas. I want to know how many people tried the 3-breath protocol and felt it work. And if you want to go deeper into the neuroscience of anxiety regulation, the next video in this series is going to change the way you understand what's happening in your body when chronic stress becomes your baseline. That one you don't want to miss.